Hi everyone, welcome to Just Talk TV, and today is another edition of Just Talk Football. I'm Dazlan, and this is Nick.
Sup guys? So today we're actually going to be moving into some topics. What we're going to be talking about today, Daz?
We're going to be talking about the transfer news.
That's the first topic we have today, so let's kick it off. And I just want to say there's been a lot of transfer activity, a lot of stuff to talk about today, and definitely something that we think worth talking about. I just want to go into the news today. Speaking of which, news update. I think Arsenal have just confirmed the signing of Gabriel Magalhaes.
As we speak right now, right?
As we speak at this moment,
right now,
yeah.
yes.
I just got I think the update was on my phone. Really great, situation.
So it's a pen to paper, it's a done and dusted deal.
Yeah, done and dusted, and pretty much he's joining Arsenal's defense core. It's gonna be really good because William Saliba and some other guys have already joined the team. They've got Socrates, David Luiz, Saliba now with Gabriel Magalhaes, as well as Rob Holding still in the team as well.
Callum Chambers, he might leave, but Callum Chambers still there.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a big transfer for Arsenal. So yeah. Let's move on to the next big transfer rumor that's happening right now.
So the first club we're going to be talking about is Chelsea. They have a very eventful transfer this window.
Yeah. I mean eventful. You can say like
eventful. They've already signed a lot of players.
Roman not playing no more. He done playing with you. You know what I mean? He's done. He's pretty much gone in now, and he's basically taken out his wallet and thrown it on Frank Lampard's desk and said, "Here, buy everyone."
He wants that league title again, man. He wants that league title.
I gotta give credit to Chelsea. You know, they never ever like the good thing about Chelsea is the ownership will spend. And they will spend to compete. I think that's the one thing that I've noticed about Chelsea, and they've always done this even when they've had bad seasons. Always focusing on making the team stronger through acquisitions. Whether or not the manager stays for a long time, they'll keep bringing in the latest players.
That's true. Especially last season where they didn't make any transfer. Well, not much transfer, but they keep a good faith with their youngsters, and somewhat they did quite good. They finished in the top 4. So,
last season they couldn't spend because of the transfer ban.
Because of the transfer ban, yes.
But even then, they still had Pulisic, which was a new player for them.
Yeah, that's true. They managed to sign Pulisic before the ban.
Some forward thinking. But now, after selling Hazard, after selling Morata, all these guys, Willian let go and everything, they're collecting all the money possible and they're going out. They've bought Hakim Ziyech.
That's a confirmed deal.
Timo Werner.
Confirmed as well.
And
apparently they've already signed Malang Sarr, which is a free agent, but he was from Nice.
Exactly. But the big news for this Chelsea team today that we want to bring is that Kai Havertz is reportedly almost ready for a deal right now.
Apparently somewhere around 90 million pounds, in that range, maybe 100.
I can't believe we're talking about 90 million pounds like it's like freaking nothing nowadays. Like it's just like, what is 90 million pounds anymore, right?
Yeah, that's true.
It was not that long ago when we were shocked that even anyone bought Ronaldo for about 80 mil. And now it's
after the Neymar thing, 90 million is like nothing now.
Yeah, it's like nothing.
It's still substantial, but still, you know.
Exactly. I'm just really looking forward to seeing what exactly this is. They've been pretty much heavily linked with Havertz. They've gone to the Bundesliga and bought 2 of the most exciting players offensively you can buy, really. Add that to their midfield. Kai Havertz is a really good player, like a very talented player. So I'm just gonna see how Chelsea are going to utilize that, because
let's see how he complements Timo Werner and everyone else.
I just think that with that as well, the other signing that potentially could be on the way for Chelsea right now is also a big deal.
Well, that is Ben Chilwell, right?
Ben Chilwell, yeah.
As well as Thiago Silva, apparently. That's almost a done deal.
Those 2, yeah. But I don't know if it's a done deal yet. It's rumored. All this is rumored, by the way, not confirmed.
Yeah.
But we've seen that it's heavily been linked. Thiago Silva on a free for 2 years, and then Ben Chilwell, we're looking at a fee about 50 mil apparently.
And Ben Chilwell is probably a long-term solution for the left wing back area.
which they've had a problem with for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Marcos Alonso just hasn't lived up to the potential that they wanted to,
true,
which is weird because the guy does score some pretty good goals and he's been a decent player. And I just think that maybe overall to their style, he doesn't fit.
Yeah, I mean, looking in the future, I think it makes sense for Chilwell, especially with Frank Lampard and his resurgence of English players and his trust.
Frank Lampard's one of those guys. Honestly, I think he's had a lot of success in his first season. They made the final. They qualified for the Champions League. The final being the FA Cup final. I think Chelsea in general, right now, the way they're looking is they have this squad and they have all these talent. But does all this talent make them a title contender?
Well, in terms of skill, there's no doubts. But right now, it's just if they can gel together and mental aspect, because it's still quite a very young team with not much experience. But skill-wise, they might be up there in terms of contending.
I think skill-wise, they're up there because Kante, Jorginho, you got Kovacic in the midfield as well.
Yeah.
In midfield, they're pretty much stacked. And then up front, they're going to have Ziyech, Pulisic, and Werner, all three of them. Makes me wonder where Kai Havertz is actually going to fit in this team. You know, like who's gonna go off for Kai Havertz? Where is he gonna
especially
move?
after they just signed Ziyech as well.
Exactly. Is it gonna be a Werner situation? I don't know.
That's true. But I do see why they signed Thiago Silva. Of course, he's aging right now.
That's a much needed position for them, actually.
That's one thing, but he also adds a lot of experience, if you ask me.
That's right. Yeah, he does.
He is a winning mentality, a winning leader.
But I have a real question about his fitness issue. Because he's 35 years old, we're talking about an aging defender.
He's always been on the slower side, even when he was peaked anyway.
I do think that maybe in this sense, it maybe benefits their younger defenders. For example, the guys like Fikio Tomori, you know, like, and the other young defenders that they have on the side. Maybe they could benefit from someone like Thiago Silva. But I do think if you're talking about a competitive team that's going to compete for the league, you gotta have that whole balance and that whole fulcrum. And the question is, how did they instill Havertz, Werner, Pulisic, and Ziyech on the pitch at the same time? That being said, having a healthy rotation is definitely not a bad idea. But then what happens now with Mason Mount or Callum Hudson-Odoi or Tammy Abrahams? You know, there's a lot of questions there.
That's true. But they're all very good skill-wise, but there's still lack of experience, if you ask me. But in terms of squad rotation, there's no doubt they are going to be very useful in future. Because, you know, they are going to be playing a lot of games if they want to go all out, if they want to go win a treble. Of course, every team wants to do that. So they need that depth. I think they have the depth. It's just in terms of the mental aspects, which is why I see Thiago Silva making a lot of sense for this team. To give motivation and leadership to those youngsters.
Of course, it also means that the two guys are now in London. The infamous double act that led to the 7-1 defeat of Brazil at the hands of Germany. Thiago Silva is going to be in Chelsea, and David Luiz is going to be in Arsenal. So, hey, that's going to be fun. But yeah, in terms of ability-wise, I think, I just. From now, the Chelsea are going to need to make a lot of sales because they've spent a freaking ton load of money. And that squad from top to bottom is so great. Can they even afford a keeper? I don't think so. Yeah,
they really need to find a keeper right now with the situation with Kepa.
Well, I totally disagree with that. I think that they should make it run with Kepa right now. Kepa's the kind of guy who maybe could benefit from a Thiago Silva. Maybe that could be what he needs. I think he needs more support as a goalkeeper. I don't think that they should be done with him. I do think, though, his confidence is shot. So the easiest thing for Chelsea to do, obviously, is to buy a keeper. But how are you going to buy a Jan Oblak when you're paying 50 mil, 90 mil for all these other players? Financially, I just don't see it making sense. And there's no way they're going to be able to sell Kepa for the amount they're talking about. I do feel like this makes them a top 4 mainstay, a top 3 mainstay, but title contenders, I wouldn't say that yet.
But at least in the future, they have a very good squad over time.
They will.
Just maybe not next season, they're going to be title contenders. But top three, there's no doubts about it. They're going to be quality for that.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, so that's Chelsea's news. Malang Sarr and Kai Havertz most likely on the way with Ben Chilwell and Thiago Silva. It looks
Heavily
like
linked, yeah.
it looks like Chelsea's going to win the inaugural preseason transfer award for making the most amount of transfers in a single window. So let's talk about the next thing now, and the next big rumor that's going around. And it's kind of like, I honestly think it's ridiculous, but it could be anything really right now. So if you're talking about something like this happening, it's the infamous Lionel Messi. Will he go to Manchester City?
Okay, so we're going to be talking about Man City right now. So let's see who Man City has already signed. So first is going to be Ferran Torres, who's a winger from Spain. And the other guy is Nathan Ake from Bournemouth, who's a Dutch defender. So both, okay, let's see. Ake is going to be a very good backup for the centre backs, which is a good backup for Laporte and Josh Stone. And Ferran Torres is going to be a very good direct replacement for the outgoing Leroy Sané. So
I do want to say that I feel like this team is coming in a crossroads situation. They've just lost David Silva. David Silva now in Real Sociedad. They've just recovered from Company leaving the club almost a season ago. Now you've got these two guys, and then they're trying to bed in Phil Foden to the squad as well. I think that Manchester City right now, they're in a situation where the team is kind of like fluctuating before their eyes. So the big question is, what kind of team are they going to have next season? And then now there's Lionel Messi stuff, and we all know that if a guy like Messi, right, comes across into this team, the expectations are going to be really heavy on the team. Not that they don't have the quality players. Remember, they still got Kevin De Bruyne, they've still got Ilkay Gundogan, they've got Laporte, they've got Jesus up front, and then they've got Sterling. I guess Sterling's good. Just he misses open shots. So basically, I think it's really great. I think the Ferran Torres is a guy that's gone really under the radar in all this. When he's a pretty good winger, played for Valencia, really great offensive returns, very fast, very speedy guy, and he fits into their rotation there, I think.
Well, I don't disagree with you there, but let's keep in mind they also have a very aging squad. Not everyone is aging, but there's a few players.
But this season they're pretty much weeding out all the aging players.
That's true.
With Silva leaving and stuff. I think
leaving, and Sergio Aguero still can play, but he's still on the older side.
I think that's a legitimate question to ask. Is Sergio Aguero going to be rotating with Jesus? Is he going to start games, or is it going to be a 50-50 kind of thing?
Yeah, that's why. And from here, the question is, would Messi suits Man City? What do you think? Okay.
I think Man City is one of these things that you got to look at Pep, and then you got to look at how they play. And I guess the idea would be that Messi would fit into that right position where Bernardo Silva or Leroy Sané play usually.
And obviously Pep knows Messi.
No, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
The really tricky part here would be to say that you're going to play the game now in this style, and you're going to have Messi be the primary ball handler when they already have a guy like Kevin De Bruyne there.
Yeah,
is that a realistic thing they can do?
That's the thing. They're going to have to build around Messi when De Bruyne already have a system for them.
I don't think they will need to build around Messi per se, but I do think that it will depend on the team's style of play, because the Premier League is a very up-tempo league.
Yes.
And guys like...
And quite physical as well.
Exactly. And Kevin De Bruyne is one of those guys who orchestrates a lot of things, gets a lot of shots up. I will say though, when you have a guy like Messi, it's immediately instant firepower for you.
Yeah. If any team.
And he loves that position. So then the next question would be, how will the forwards have to play? Will Jesus have to drop back, give Messi some more space? Will it need to be an interplay in between the midfield? A friend of mine told me that in Barcelona last time, Xavi and Iniesta were both the key components of that team. And how they worked is, Xavi would instill the ball, control the midfield, and then spray out the passes accordingly to the right person. And I think Messi benefits from a system like that. But with Kevin De Bruyne's style, It's he takes the ball and he moves up, and they basically pile into the offense, and they crowd the box, and they rotate the ball. It's like that kind of stuff. So I think that's a real question mark as to how they want to play that. Is it going to be a different style? Are they going to revert back to the old Barcelona style? Can Gundogan and KDB really play a Xavi Iniesta role, for example? These are important questions to ask.
Well, per se, for me, if you're saying like Barcelona style tiki-taka, I think they're going to have to find someone else. Currently, right now, with what they have, it's not going to be suitable for that. But they're going to have to build something around Messi and Jesus. I think Jesus is going to have to drop deep. He cannot be a target man with Messi in the team. The same goes to Messi as well, because he's going to be going all over the field. And set pieces, free kicks is probably going to be Messi taking it.
But I think Pep, he's been seeing how Liverpool plays and how Bayern Munich has played, and I think he's really going to pay some credence to it, because his teams. The problem is, if his team, here's the problem, right? If City played that style of that Barcelona play, they're asking basically to die. Yeah, because a lot of teams are now pressing these players, and the ball will always be pressured. So you've got a lot of these teams have like the hunting dogs in the midfield that go after their ball holders, the orchestrators of the offense, and they're looking to make mistakes and stuff like that. So easily you can intercept and pick out on mistakes. And last year, City had one of the worst mistake ratios in the Premier League when it came to these kind of games. When we all remember what Wolves did to them. The Wolves basically picked them.
Yeah, home and away.
Them off. Yeah.
Adama Traore is one person.
I guess the good thing with Lionel Messi is that if you have Lionel Messi, I think you have a guy that's not going to lose the ball.
And he's going to hold the ball a lot.
Yeah, pretty much. He's gonna be able to hold the ball,
and he can dribble, and he's quite fast.
So all that is good. So I think that's a good thing for them. Financially, though, this deal doesn't make sense. The City just got in trouble for FFP. I don't think they're gonna go out and spend 100 mil on Lionel Messi.
That's just on the transfers. That's not even putting into consideration on his wages. How much is he gonna have, and how much City is gonna offer him?
Exactly. That's why it's a bit of a strange one, this situation. And I definitely think that one that they need to look at before they go into it. And Messi himself, is he ready to leave Barcelona? Is he ready to leave a system where he basically dominates the political spectrum of that team? The presidency is decided on his say-so. And so it's going to be a lot of things. They're coming up to election year. His family settled there, blah blah blah, all this stuff. Is he ready to go to Manchester City at his age? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's been teasing a lot that he wants to leave. He actually even said that he wants to leave, but it happened in the past as well, and it did not happen. So
I think it's a political move. I think he's doing this to just pressure
the presidency is probably he's coming up anyway soon.
Yeah. So
let's just see.
So I'm not sure though, but a lot of the chat coming out of Barcelona right now, which leads us to our next huge news, and that was reported recently, that Barcelona is actually looking at releasing Luis Suarez. Ronald Koeman.
Yes. Ronald Koeman has actually said that Luis Suarez is not going to be part of his team. So they're going to have to find another striker there to replace Luis Suarez.
I think so. Like basically, what's happening now is Ronald Koeman's come in. He's the new manager of Barcelona, and Barcelona have had a lot of issues on the field, off the field. They've had their tactical issues. They've had their changing of the guard. Let's say they've had their Arthur issues. Pjanic is now on COVID-19 watch apparently, and then you've got your defensive frailties that they have.
Yeah,
so the team
says he wants to leave after losing that badly.
I don't think he said he wants to leave. I think he said more like, I will take responsibility and leave if it's good for the team or something.
If the team wants him to leave, he will not fight for his place. Basically something along those lines.
I don't think Gerard Piqué needs to leave. I think I think it's interesting how Barcelona is set up in a way. And in the past, right now, from what I've heard, Ronald Koeman has asked 4 guys to basically F off in this team. Luis Suarez being the more public one. But we've heard a rumor that they're looking at removing Busquets. They're looking at removing Piqué. And they're looking at removing one other guy who I forgot the name. But they're looking at removing these four guys from the team. According to a report here, but the Luis Suarez one has been quite publicized, and I think that's a really serious one, because for the longest time that I've known Barcelona, they always had 3 guys up front that averaged about 10 goals every season.
The minimum.
But that's not where Barcelona's strength actually lies. Barcelona's strength has always been the midfield. So it's kind of weird to me. Ever since they've lost the combo of Xavi and Iniesta, they've struggled to really recover from that.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like a big spine has gone.
So they've already have done a nasty deal on Pjanic coming from Juventus. So now it's just that happened before Ronald Koeman came in. So let's just see where they're gonna buy for that. Who do you think they're going to buy for Barcelona to fix
So,
things?
for example, I think Griezmann's here already, right? They've got Messi. If they can hang on to Messi and then add another player into it, I think they can do well with that. There's one guy who's been consistently linked with Barcelona for near a year now, and that's Lautaro Martinez from Inter Milan.
Yeah.
And
A
holy
pure
crap,
striker as well. Yeah.
he's pretty good. Like he and Lukaku literally terrified defenses. It didn't work for them in the Europa. It didn't work for them in the Serie A. They fell short. Antonio Conte is crying about not being supported and all this stuff. But basically what it's come down to now is, can Barcelona pry a player like this from Inter? I think Inter is going to dig in deep here, because it's going to be like, we know Barcelona wants him, so we know what we should value him at. So Inter's going to value him pretty high. So that's going to be a big battle between Barca and Inter. And I could see Barca not going that route, simply because of the manager they have right now. It's very, very possible. Definitely one of the other things is that if you look at Lautaro Martinez's style, so how would Barca need to set up next season for this? Would it be a situation where you've got Griezmann, Martinez, and Messi playing inter alia with the 3? Or is it a sense that you put Lautaro Martinez in, bring another midfielder up, play a 4-2-3-1, which is not the Barcelona DNA way? So Ronald Koeman is obviously Dutch, and he's coached the Dutch team. So I can see them going with a very 4-3-3 centric inverted triangle, that's usually how
So 3 center midfields and a winger and a striker.
Exactly, yeah. I could easily see that. So it's gonna be one of those things where I think the Holland lineup is gonna play a big part in this, because as we know, Koeman, I heard today on a news reel that Koeman's very interested in bringing guys like Donny van de Beek into the team.
Yeah.
And he's interested in bringing Gini Wijnaldum into the team.
Wijnaldum from Liverpool, he made it quite clear he wants him at Barcelona.
But these are not... This is going to be interesting, because we don't know how, if they bring it back to the Dutch style, is it going to be a reinvention of the Johan Cruyff style of playing into Barcelona, which made them once also very famous.
Yeah.
But it's very much going away from that tiki-taka, Iniesta and Xavi controlling midfield type of situation. So either way, it's a huge deal for Barcelona, because I think moving away from Suarez is kind of a premature move.
He's still scoring. It's not like as though he wasn't scoring.
The problem is that the problem is not that he's scoring. I think he's scoring, but he's not looking like the Suarez of old.
Oh yeah, of course.
And he's labored, and he's tired,
right
and he's old,
yeah,
and he's getting, and he feels. I think he's had to carry a lot of the Barcelona goal scoring.
Since Dembele is not performing well.
Dembele hasn't even been playing. He's been injured.
Dembele is the other guy you want to see just now. that they want to get rid of.
Dembele is the guy
Ousmane
that.
Dembele, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of rumors that reports that they want to get rid of Dembele, but again, I just don't think it's feasible for the squad to get rid of another player who could potentially contribute to this team. Yeah. Because who do they got? They got Braithwaite, and then they got Suarez.
As good as gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's not happening lah. So basically now, right now, I think Barcelona's in an interesting position. I think we're going to see a lot of movement.
Let's see that Pjanic thing, because Pjanic is obviously not Ronald Koeman signing. So, but he is a quality guy from Juventus, from the Serie A. So let's see how Koeman will use him.
There is one guy that I think that actually could make sense for all parties, and is a guy that I think that very much fits the Barcelona style here, especially if we're looking at playing him in multiple positions, and that's Paulo Dybala. And
oh yes, yeah, most definitely.
This is not an actual rumor, but it's more like a suggestion. If you know, Bartomeu, if you're watching this show, please go ahead and take my suggestion, credit me lah, okay? But basically, what I'm thinking is, Dybala doesn't want to be in Juventus anymore because he's not being played enough, and that's fair. Barcelona need a catch-22 all-type kind of guy.
Yeah, like a forward guy, false 9.
Yeah, and this is a talisman player as well. Yeah. So imagine the front line being Messi, Dybala, and then Griezmann in the middle. You can pull Griezmann back into a false 9, work it that way. Griezmann's used to playing deeper anyway, and he'll have creative control as well. And then he can feed Messi and Dybala can do their thing. Messi and Dybala can do their thing. So I think that works. You know, you no longer have to pigeonhole Griezmann on the corners, and Dybala's the kind of guy who can play all these positions. So
especially with Pjanic coming in, he's a very good playmaker as well. He's going to be feeding all those three for sure.
I do think the midfield is going to see a lot more renovation before we're done.
I think Ronald Koeman is going to have to build something around Frankie de Jong.
Yep.
Because obviously he's the future, and he's Dutch as well as Koeman.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. One of the things that Koeman has come in and said is that Frankie de Jong under Setien and under the previous guys wasn't being played in the right position. He thinks that he can utilize Frankie de Jong to a more efficient position. So let's see what he comes up with. I'll be paying attention because the formation is going to be interesting for sure.
So next to our next topic, which is going to be the Champions League final. So against Bayern Munich against PSG. So it's a very good final. So what do you think about it, Nick?
Really, like I thought it was one of the better finals that I've seen recently in terms of quality of players.
Yes.
But I did think that the game was less of a end-to-end thing, more of a tactical thing. And it really proves because when you have like players like this, usually it won't be a very like high margin goal scoring anyway. But it was definitely a game that I thought was very exciting, very interesting to watch. Different styles of play, and Munich basically adapting a much more different approach to how they've adapted games leading up to this.
That's true. Obviously, it's a 1-0 win for Bayern Munich, and which is quite a very. It sounds boring 1-0, but it's actually a very entertaining game, and especially Bayern Munich, and a lot of chances for both teams.
There's a lot of chances, yeah. I thought, honestly, Bayern controlled most of the game, but there was some chance, because Bayern plays such a high line in general, and there was an interesting selection dilemma, so I thought that it was interesting how PSG addressed that, and I think PSG easily could have been 2-0 up.
Yeah, 2-0,
at one
they had
point.
a very good chance.
I just cannot believe that both those players missed, and it was for Mbappe to miss at that range, and then for Di Maria to sky that shot.
Di Maria had a very good chance, but maybe it was on his weaker right foot. There was also another one to equalize, which was a Choupo-Moting.
Yeah, that
Mbappe
one as
passed,
well.
but Choupo-Moting did not. If he had touched that ball, it was a very good chance. It was coming in, but Mbappe was doing a lot of things, a lot of work there. And for me, Neymar did not step up. How about for you, Nick? I mean, he was there, but not really stepping up as a true champion did lah. Mbappe really did all the hard work, if you ask me.
Well, for me, I thought that Neymar was very active in the game,
Active,
but he was
in
not
terms of
active towards the effectiveness of the team.
Effectiveness of the team.
It's always like this with Neymar. I think that sometimes Neymar tends to self-isolate himself without realizing that he's part of a bigger occasion. You know, like link-up play, things like this is something that Neymar has a lot of problem with, and we haven't seen team Neymar, like the proper Neymar, since 2015, 2016, when he was basically ripping the La Liga apart with the front three. I was actually watching some comparisons yesterday about Neymar, and I think that it was interesting how he's playing now compared to before. And Neymar's always had this ability to he has these moves, stutter steps, you know, like moving, shifting in and out, dribbling, and you know the skill wise it's there, but sometimes I think it's not done in an efficient manner. For example, there were times when he held on to the ball for too long. I think also in midfield there wasn't much support for him from PSG, and also not to mention he's got Mbappe and Di Maria up there, and I didn't see much from that. I didn't see anything happen in a situation where Neymar is supposed to drag defenders, you know, and rather than doing that, I think he sort of allowed himself to be double teamed. By
the Bayern team was really focusing on him once he gets the ball. And
exactly, because he's a playmaker for that team, and I think it's huge when you get boxed up like that with how Bayern defend as well. So, you know, I think Neymar he had a lot of struggle. I think Mbappe really showed, I don't know what it is, whether it's fatigue or just general like injury or something.
Yeah, something. I think he was fatigued for that, but he worked really hard to get that
hard. Yeah, but it's just that I think it's like I think like the tiredness kind of like
because there was one shot that if he was a fit Mbappe, I think it would have gone in.
That's exactly my point. Yeah, because he had these shots, and I thought, all right, man, like do what you usually do and sky them into that top corner there, but he didn't do any of that.
Yeah, he did a very low kick and straight to the middle.
Exactly.
But that's not taking anything away from Manuel Neuer of Bayern Munich. He did had a pretty good game.
He had a good game, but that's because the ball didn't go too high.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The ball stayed at human being level down there in the height wise department, and I mean it's also helped by the fact that Bayern Munich have a pretty solid midfield that helped to retain the ball. I thought
Thiago for me is a very good shout out, if you ask me.
For me, Thiago pretty much was the key player for Bayern. I know there's a lot of guys who maybe would fit into the man of the match category. I'm not sure about that, but I do think Thiago showed his range today.
Yeah.
He showed how he helps the team on offense, but then also defensively they come back. And I thought that's a huge thing that he does, is that he takes the ball, he sprays the passes in and around the offense to, you know, really create that dynamic spacing that the players can benefit from. And when they need him the most, him and Kimmich work like as a double tandem. You know, like Kimmich very much benefits from Thiago being there. So I just think that he's a fantastic player, and
especially he covered to the centre back as well, covering Alaba, who is a natural right back.
Exactly.
Yeah. Played on the centre.
I thought also that Joshua Kimmich had a good game.
Yeah.
I thought the interesting Coleman situation as well. But for me, the guy who made all the difference today was that Thiago, Goretzka, you know, and the midfield, three of them basically working in tandem to create something.
Yeah, they did a lot of pressing play. In the end, they crossed the ball for Coleman to score.
Exactly, yeah.
So essentially, it was something like a counter-attack.
Right. So the main thing we need to talk about in this game as well is how Tuchel and Flick pretty much matched up against each other managerial-wise.
Both Germans, obviously. So let's look at Tuchel. Tuchel was from Dortmund before this, and before that he was from Mainz. And Flick, he last managed as a first team manager was since 2005. After that, he has a lot of stint as an assistant manager at Joachim Low, and then he was an assistant at Bayern Munich before taking over his first full season, which is this year, and he ended up winning the treble. But there's no doubt he was always quality before that. So what do you think about them?
I think that it's an interesting concept because Tuchel was a Dortmund manager, obviously,
Yeah.
and then after Dortmund, he moved basically to PSG, and what I kind of understand. What I don't get is how this team is set up. I know it's a winning formula, but I don't understand the team lineup. But maybe that's because I don't watch like PSG week in week out enough to know what the situation is surrounding all that. I think defensively they're okay. Like defensively they're pretty good. Thiago Silva, Kimpembe, Drew Bernat, and their right back. They've got a lot of good players in this team, and then Keylor Navas is a proven keeper. Over time, he's been La Liga. He's won things. So I think on that end, like they're pretty solid. Where it starts to confuse me is their midfield, because they've got Ander Herrera, Leonardo Paredes, and then they've got Marquinhos. And I think Marquinhos maybe sometimes he's sort of that pseudo CDM, but moves back to centre back and the back three kind of thing. Maybe that's what they're doing. But even then, I kind of don't. I don't see the creativity coming from that midfield. Maybe that's just me. I think Ander Herrera is good with holding the ball, shielding, taking the ball, and rotating it around. But who puts in that killer pass for them? And I think what happens is there's a vacuum. The midfield acts as a defensive mechanism, and the front three acts as their own unit, basically. And so the ball is basically expected to be shared amongst the front three. Because I think that's how they try to play. But again, against a team like Bayern Munich, who this time didn't play Perisic, they played Coleman instead. And I thought that was an interesting decision. I think Tuchel showed a bit too much. I think he showed a bit too much reliance on his front three.
They don't really have a traditional playmaker in the midfield.
Because they have Julian Draxler on the bench. So
he's more of an impact dynamic player.
I get that, but at the same time, this is a final. So I mean
you need that dynamic.
You kind of need to overload that box and really push that high line, because
especially at 1-0.
Here's what's gonna happen. Munich's gonna hold the ball, right? Munich is gonna dominate possession in this game. There's no way you can match their midfields. But what you can do is when you win the ball back, you have that midfielder who can press the ball up forward and spearhead the offense and pick out one of the three guys. They're all a track team, but what happens is you give it to Neymar or you give it to someone, the ball gets stuck. When the ball gets stuck, the offense slows down. And seeing how slow Mbappe was yesterday, I was surprised Tuchel didn't make a change sooner. And when he did make the change, it was Choupo-Moting that came on. Yeah,
Choupo-Moting had a very good chance. Very, very good chance, which he missed.
I think Choupo-Moting had a chance there to beat the Origi of
He missed by an inch, like, he would have come in if he touched the ball.
Right, but that's enough about Tuchel. Let's talk about Flick now. Because, man, this guy, the moment he came in, the club literally just 360'd everything.
Yeah.
But we started seeing world-class performances by Serge Gnabry. We started seeing Lewandowski be the best striker in the world.
David Alaba moved to centre-back.
David Alaba moving to centre-back.
And then the guy that replaced
Alphonso Davies started rising like some phoenix from the ashes of something.
Defender, but as well as a good attacker as well.
He's like a crazily... I think, honestly, there's a big debate now about left-backs. And I think Alphonso Davies is the deal.
Yes.
Especially offensively, I think he's like
offensively.
deadly.
I think earlier in the season he destroyed Chelsea.
He did. He destroyed a lot of teams.
And even Barcelona, he did.
Yeah, he destroyed Barcelona specifically. I thought honestly, Alphonso Davies, I thought Flick, the way he's managed to change this team, and then how he's used Muller as well off the bench in a lot of these games, it's been amazing. The team has benefited from it. So I just think overall they've enjoyed this successful run right now, and he's been the core facilitator of it.
They won the treble.
That's the other thing. They won the treble
The treble
literally
as
as
well,
soon as
yeah.
this guy came in.
Yeah.
He's done a fantastic job with this team, and I think I thought the way he played PSG was magnificent. Number one, he took out their primary playmaker, which is Neymar. He had a tactic instilled in that. Number two,
They overworked Mbappe.
exactly, they overworked Mbappe, and how they did that was rather than picking Perisic, he picked Coman. And I thought Coman was this guy who was like really causing problems, so that Alphonso Davies didn't have to commit to offense too much.
Yes.
So when he folded back into the defense, it sort of negated any of the play that PSG wanted to do. And yeah, for the first like half, for a lot of the first half, PSG had chances, but their failure to execute them just fell into Bayern's hand.
Yeah, it really looked like they were fatigued. It was quite obvious from that.
I thought also that it was a very good call by Flick to. He did keep the faith with his team. I think he kept the faith, but he didn't overcommit to trying to be too explosive with it at the beginning.
But let's not forget his subs. His substitution was pretty good. Ivan Perisic coming in, Philippe Coutinho coming in, giving a whole new dynamic energy to win that 1-0.
I think you need to wonder right now if Flick is right now like tactically he's able to put his teams up against some of the best teams, and he's pretty much won the Champions League now. Bar the fact that it was a COVID thing, but the way they've won it has been pretty dominant throughout. And I think good squad. He's managed the squad well. I think he obviously had the better of Tuchel this time around.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, people can say that there were only one leg split, but if you ask me, if it was 2 legs, this is going to be more goals to Bayern Munich. There's no doubt. If you ask me, Lewandowski is just going to score more goals.
So then I think the biggest question we need to ask ourselves, and I think the biggest question we need to ask ourselves now is pretty much Bayern best team in the world.
Currently, as of now, yes.
I think
one of the best.
I think they are the best team in the world right now. I think they are the way they play, how they're set up, their midfield, how it works.
Not only that, their striker, I think, is the best striker that they have right now.
Yeah. Lewandowski.
Yeah.
Just a shame that there's no Ballon d'Or this year.
There's no doubt he's going to be a Ballon d'Or winner if there is one this year.
I'm actually not sure because we never know.
I mean, he is the top scorer for Bundesliga. Okay, he's the top scorer for the Copa, the German FA Cup, and he's also the top scorer for the Champions League for Bayern Munich. So there's no doubts in my mind. It's going to be him. No doubts.
No doubt.
No doubts.
Well, I guess we'll never know because they didn't have it this year.
That's why. So hopefully the FIFA is still going to be on.
I think Lewandowski definitely the best striker in Europe
Currently right now, yes.
There's not that many other strikers I would give it to.
There's a pure striker as well.
I think it's Lewandowski, then it's Karim Benzema, then after that you can go anywhere with it. Oh, of course, Aubameyang's up there as well. He's pretty good. So yeah, like I would say they're the best team in the world right now. Just how the team plays, how they transition from defense to offense, how impactful their subs are. You know, like and just like their wing backs, how they play, the center back pairing. The center back pairing is on paper not really the most luxurious center back pairing, but for what they want to do, it's pretty efficient. So it'll be interesting next season, which is coming soon. We'll see how they do, lah.
Yeah, I really love the fact that he managed to convert Alaba to a center back. Yeah,
Alaba is a guy who can play all these positions, isn't it? Like, it's
yeah.
crazy. I didn't know he could play center back as well.
And ended up replacing him on the left wing, left back
With Alphonso Davies. Yeah.
The next big thing.
I think Bayern can write a book about how they like to change their offensive wing backs into offensive wingers to the fullbacks, right?
Yeah.
They did the same thing with Lam, Lekimich, and now they're doing it with Alphonso Davies. And I think, and that's just like one of the good things about Bayern right now.
I mean,
really great
also
team.
They got Alfonso Alves on the cheap.
Exactly.
Very, very cheap. This Davies kid.
Yeah.
From America. Well, Toronto lah, from Canada.
So the next topic we're gonna. So the topic.
So that's the Champions League roundup.
Not yet. There's just one last thing, and we gotta talk about this a bit. But where do PSG go from here? Are they done as a unit?
Not only that, are they done as a unit, and is Neymar done with PSG right now? Because, I mean, if you ask me, he came to win the Champions League, and right now, he was very close to winning the Champions League, and it didn't happen.
There are very few places Neymar can go that he can achieve this.
Sorry about that. That was a Bixby.
So guys, like I just want to give a big shout out to our technician guy.
Yeah.
Today has been a really crazy day. All sorts of things. But basically, let's go back to the Neymar thing. I just want to say, I think there's not that many places Neymar can go. He's limited. He could go back to Barcelona.
In terms of skill.
Just generally, where is he gonna play with the same level of players?
Just not only that, just financially, he's a very expensive guy.
That's why.
Yeah.
Like unless he takes a pay cut, I don't see teams taking him. I don't see Barcelona taking him back because Barcelona itself is a mess. And the last thing Koeman wants is to like have Neymar come back. Although I do wonder how that works with Messi and everything, but again, I digress. So my opinion is he's not done, or he shouldn't be done. I think you should stick it out with PSG. Find a way to make that midfield better. Have another go at it. I think now that Thiago Silva has left, there will be an option for someone like Marquinhos to drop back into defense, so they can look at bringing another option in that midfield. So that's going to be the thing.
And with their leader gone, Thiago Silva, Neymar could take the next step. Maybe he can be the guy. He's a proven champion.
We've been saying maybe about Neymar for a long time now. I don't know. But I do know that if this team is built in a better way and they get a better midfield core and then they work out their style a bit more, maybe they can be back next season. Maybe.
I mean, if he's a true champion, he has to try.
That's true.
No doubts about that.
I do think that PSG next season is going to have a lot of trouble getting back, because this season the way things fell has benefited them. And if it's two legs again, you know, how close will it be? Who's going to be in their group stages? Who's going to do this, that? So we need to see. But PSG definitely have good players, and I think they will buy good players, so that's not going to be an issue.
So yeah, so that's how we round up.
That's the Champions League review. Yep. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So finally today we're going to be talking about the last thing on our menu, and it's a brand new segment that we like to call Team Dissection.
Yeah, so who are you going to be dissecting this week?
Well, this week we're going to be focusing on Tottenham Hotspur, and definitely Tottenham is one of those teams. So basically for Team Dissection, it's like we take a problem team, we identify issues that this team may have, and then we talk about how to solve these issues, or what promising moves they made. For Tottenham's case, it's now the preseason. They pretty much have all the time in the world to think about things and blah blah blah.
Quick recap before this. So last season itself, coming up from a very big high of losing the Champions League final, so they want to go on from there. But unfortunately, Fettuccino got sacked on November, and he got replaced.
Fettuccino. Fettuccino. Cappuccino. Pochettino.
Fettuccine carbonara.
Good God Almighty. Yes. Okay, yes.
Okay, so he got sacked on November. So his replacement is the special one, in Jose Mourinho. And okay, let's just look at
I am the special one.
You have to show me respect.
No, that's not. He said it like, he said, how many managers win Premier League? Three. And I have one more than all the other managers
combined.
He waited for Arsene Wenger to leave, by the way. We can say that. I have one more than all the other managers combined. Respect, man. Respect.
So obviously all this respect made him finish 6th in the league. So no respect there that much. So okay, let's look at their finishes. So in the league they finished 6th, failed for the Champions League, and then in the FA Cup they got eliminated by Norwich at the 6th round. And FA Cup, that was the FA Cup, and yeah,
the replay.
And in terms of Europe,
they lost on penalties. In Europe they got knocked out.
And so where do you see them go from here?
So in team dissection, the best thing we can do is take the key issues and talk about it. First of all, we have to understand. I do think that you need to look at Jose Mourinho first and foremost because he's new and he just entered the team and how he wants them to play. This is actually a really funny timing for all this because the new documentary All or Nothing Tottenham Hotspur is going to be on Amazon soon. I can't wait to watch it. It looks amazing. Like, I saw the trailer. It's dope, man. It looks good.
They're really gonna.
Like, this is the one I'm gonna watch.
That,
the Man City one looked boring as well.
Yeah.
It looked boring, but the Tottenham one looks entertaining. So I think I'm gonna actually watch that.
Dele Ali kicking bottles and shit like that. Yeah.
The funniest part was Son speaking English.
Yeah. And he speaks pretty good English with a slang.
Yeah. I think Jose has a bad rep. You know, I mean, it's not fair for him to have this kind of rep. I personally think he's a winner. You guys won practically in everywhere he's been. Even in United, he won stuff. It's not as if
he is a special one.
I
mean,
his
name is there for a reason.
Yeah, but I do think Jose's biggest problem comes from the fact that maybe sometimes it looks that when things get bad, rather than adopt and evolve, he sort of stays stagnant sometimes. And that, I think that comes from a sense of pride.
I think
it comes from a sense of pride, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's true. But if you ask me, like, he doesn't really have that much sense of adapting.
Yeah. I mean, then again, you need to look at...
There is pride as well.
He's from that era of managers who don't back down. Like, it's very hard for him to work with analytics people all of a sudden and, just suddenly come up with the tactical nuances of the thing. That being said, the way he's handled his team has been at times a bit strange, but at the same time, pretty much very Jose. I do think he's trying to adapt. I do think he's trying to make the team a more dynamic team this time around when I see how they've lined up and everything.
I mean, he's not going to get a lot of resource that he had with his previous club, barring Porto lah. I mean, with the Chelsea, Real Madrid, Man United, he has a lot of resources in terms of finance and players. Currently in Spurs, I think he's not going to have that much control in terms of that, because Spurs itself is going to be, they are going to a new level somehow.
I see Spurs, right, as the opportunity for Mourinho to recreate his career. If he goes into Spurs, okay, take away last season, because last season happened, it was what it was, and there was nothing he could do about what transpired given the injury situations and everything and how the team was lined up and all that stuff. But moving forward, this is the season you need to judge Jose and see if he's any good. And it's a real chance for him to reinvent himself. And what I've seen from him has been okay. Like, I watched some of the friendlies they played. They've been alright. I mean, it's not like they're like fantastic or anything, but at the same time, I feel like the team has got potential. And there's a few guys I absolutely love on the Spurs team. So I think what we should do now is check out their starting lineup and look into their key issues. So we've actually got a board for you guys.
So there's going to be a lineup as expected. So this is the lineup for next season. So Nick, you want to go through it?
So yeah, let's talk about this. This is an expected lineup based on the transfers they've had, and also this is at this moment in time. If we make any new transfers, obviously the lineup might be different. But how I see them lining up next season will be a 4-2-3-1. I see them lining up with Foyth in the right back position, and the centre back being Sanchez and Alderweireld, with Sessegnon playing in the left. Of course, this is very dependent on injuries and availabilities and stuff, but But as you know, Vertonghen is no longer there. So Vertonghen not being there is going to be interesting. I also think they've got Winks and Højbjerg over here.
Højbjerg, which is the new signing.
Yeah, Højbjerg's the new signing, and I think he's going to feature a lot this season. Bergwijn, Ali, and Son. I think you can't go wrong there. Of course, Lo Celso is a guy who could feature a lot in this rotation. We'll talk about that in a bit. And of course, it's Harry Kane right here.
So the captain Harry Kane, the most entrusted forward they have right now.
Pretty much the only forward they have right now. So right, let's talk about this team. I think the Foyt thing is a very interesting thing because the only reason why Foyt is on this is because Serge Aurier last year had a really
He had a very bad run.
Yeah, he had a bad showing, discipline issues, but that being said, he had a very high goal and assist ratio.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He's a very much a pick a poison kind of player, like very high risk, high return kind of guy. Like you can play him and he can give you like incredible play, but sometimes he makes a lot of boneheaded decisions and stuff that cost the team, and that's why I think next season I do foresee that Foyt will feature more in the right back position.
The right back, yeah.
That's what I think. And what do you think about their centre backs?
Well, Sanchez, no doubt, is going to be a starting centre back. Alderweireld is he's a very good, reliable guy, but he's aging right now.
We're talking about the guy Alderweireld here, who
Alderweireld
pretty much was a home name.
Yes.
For a lot of teams, like a lot of people liked Alderweireld. Yeah.
So obviously before this, Alderweireld was partnered with John Vertonghen, who is gone right now. Yeah, John Vertonghen. Yeah, which is gone now. So we're gonna rely heavily on Sanchez and Alderweireld. And then another shout out is for the left back, which is Ryan Sessegnon, which they signed last season from Fulham, but he didn't make a lot of appearance right now for this season. But he's still a very young lad. He's a very offensive defender, but he can go back as well. So I can see him doing a lot of assists or coming up, going forward from Sessegnon.
I think it was very interesting how the teams lined up against Ipswich recently, and I thought that I looked at that team and then I thought to myself, is this what Mourinho wants to play? And essentially, a lot of the feature of that game, Bergwijn and Kane were not back yet, so it was Lucas Moura and it was Son in offense with I think Sessegnon playing in the further up role. But what I do think is the good thing about Mourinho usually is that he likes to play his defensive guys to do assignments like running the ball, hurrying up. He had Essien, Makelele, and all these guys for a long time doing a lot of this. So I think you can very much see what this team's lineup would look like. I think Son is an important guy. I think Son and Sessegnon is an interesting combination.
Both on the left.
Because that's crazy. Again, this is not the fixed team. This is just the team I think that they will go with next season. It couldn't very well be something else.
Forecasted lineup for that.
Right, forecasted lineup, yeah.
Predicted.
So let's talk about the key issues. And I think one of the key issues that this team struggles with, right? Last season, the big issue they had
was injury for Lloris.
Hugo Lloris injury.
Hugo Lloris. Yep.
So Hugo Lloris is one of these guys, very important player, very important captain for the team. He suffered a broken hand at Brighton last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I actually watched that game. It was a really horrible injury. I don't want to say that Gazaniga didn't do a good job, because other than the Brighton game, I thought Gazaniga was okay. But they really went out this season and they bought Joe Hart.
I think they bought Joe Hart as a direct result of the Gazaniga and Lloris as well. So there's a solution there in Joe Hart. So how do you think about that?
That's interesting, only because Joe Hart is a guy who had once been one of the best goalkeepers in England. Now he's being tossed around between Burnley and now he's back he's at Spurs as a backup goalkeeper to Hugo Lloris.
I think he make a very good backup. He still has a lot of years left in him.
I do think Hugo Lloris is a good goalkeeper, but I do think that the other thing about it is he's an aging keeper, so there's going to be a lot of questions soon.
And
about
he's
who's
the
gonna take
captain there as
mantle.
well. Yeah.
Mourinho rates Joe Hart pretty highly, so that's going to be an interesting take on things. Definitely, one of the things that we need to look out for in this goalkeeper situation is how dispensable is Gazzaniga, because I think he's been the understudy. He's actually played not badly. He's had a very porous defense last year. I think he is currently the number 2 keeper on this team.
I mean, he's Premier League quality alive.
Gazzaniga, yeah, he is. I think he is. I just think that, I don't know, what does this Joe Hart message mean? Is it because Hugo Lloris is looking less likely to play a whole season? It could be any of those things, really. But I think one of the biggest, what we're going to talk about now, the second issue Tottenham have had, and this is something I think that they've really struggled with, is the lack of a midfield enforcer.
Yes. So midfield enforcer right now, Endo Bale is not really performing that well. They've lost Christian Eriksen, and they did not even replace him. So that's gonna be an issue.
Didn't replace
I mean, directly. I mean, immediately. They lost him in January this year.
I would argue that Lo Celso is pretty much that replacement that they're looking at. I mean,
he played a lot in the Dele Alli position.
Exactly. Yeah. I can see it, but maybe it's possible that they need a better player. Maybe in that position.
Like the last time they had a proper enforcer in midfield has to be Moussa Dembele.
Exactly.
Which was from a few years ago.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're missing, and I think it's interesting that when he left the team, the midfield didn't look so strong.
Yeah, I understand maybe Ndombele might be the guy, but he did not show that he can.
Ndombele is not the kind of guy who sits back in defense. He's very much a progressive midfielder.
And he played a lot in the holding, which is not really his position.
Exactly. He's not a holding midfielder at all, and I don't understand the need to pigeonhole him into that. I think Mourinho is trying to talk himself into making Ndombele that guy, but the problem is that you cannot pigeonhole players like this when they're like when we know what Ndombele is good at. And Ndombele is a guy who likes to get forward, be around the box. But there's one guy I think honestly that's really affecting their really affecting that point, and that's Dele Alli.
Yeah, he was not consistent last season.
Not only was he not consistent,
Chelsea kept him out of the team. Kelso.
I do. The problem with Dele Alli is that I think we all know that there's a great player in there. It's just I don't see it very often nowadays. Maybe I kind of like forget that Dele Alli even exists in the Premier League recently.
I mean, like Dele Alli did not play that much last season, and
don't get me wrong. When Mourinho came in, he had that huge run of games where he was scoring. 4 games where he was playing fantastic
and
football.
Then he dropped back down to inconsistent back.
I did see in the friendly that they played against Ipswich, they were much more better. Dele Alli was much better, more contributing, linked up well with Son. Where I think that's the kind of thing Dele Alli should be doing. He should be linking up, trying to get the ball, play that Frank Lampard role that obviously perhaps Mourinho sees for him. But I would say that it's a very difficult thing to do if he's not going to be consistent. I think maybe him not being consistent, maybe not his fault. Maybe the fact that maybe Mourinho is asking him to play deeper, or maybe that he's been asked to play deeper by guys like Pochettino and all these things. Maybe that's screwed with his game a bit. Maybe he needs more time on the ball. Maybe he needs more touches. Maybe, all these things are possible. But I do feel that Dele Alli needs to be involved in the offense a bit more, and he needs to create this triangle. And what I see here specifically is he needs to be part of this 4-man offense right here. And you can see the Ali position, right? For me, he benefits well when Kane drops back and he takes part in the offense. So when he switches with Kane, that's when he's the most offensively at his peak.
That's true.
If you ask me,
He can go both ways as well. He can go both ways, from the left and the right.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying, like, he can go on the left, he can go on the right, he can hit a 1-2 with Son, they can do a switch. You know, Kane can provide enough, can come from behind here and cause some offensive trouble. You know, so he can play this role very well, and this is his target area. And can you imagine if Ali, Son, and Kane form a sort of pseudo triangle over here in the offense?
But it's going to be very clear.
Yeah, it's gonna also leave space for this guy.
Yes.
Who is known for driving into the box and being an offensive weapon. So, you know, this is one of those things that they should do. They should link up these three. I think also one of the great things with the midfield enforcer thing now, they've kind of solved that problem, I think, with Højbjerg. Or they hope that they've solved that problem.
The new signing from Southampton.
I watched him play, and one of the goals that they scored was off him pressing the ball, winning the ball back, getting it to Ali, who gets it into Son, and they score. And it's just amazing how this guy is kind of like this all-in workhorse, and I think he benefits Tottenham play style-wise. Whether or not he's the quality of player that's going to start consistently for 38 games or whatever is a debate, I'm sure. But if you're telling me that if they can get this guy to work, and they can form this pseudo triangle between these three guys, they're gonna feast. Like literally, this is gonna be a very high octane offense. And don't forget, in Chelsea, Mourinho did something similar with Lampard, Robin, and Drogba at one point. And that changed over the years because one guy goes out, you know. But then the Drogba, Lampard dynamic was always there. Where Ali is not like Lampard is, Ali's not going to come back and sweep things. So maybe that's why. I do question though. I think Højbjerg is an excellent addition to this team, but this is a big question mark for me. It's Winks.
Winks is more of a passer and all that. He creates chances and he does lobs the ball, but in terms of pressing, skill-wise, he's quite above average. But is he enough to make Spurs go to the next level?
I think Harry Winks is a good player, and definitely a serviceable player. My question is, do you want to play him deep, or do you want to play him here?
No, he's gonna have to play deep.
I do think that's eventually the idea, because I see him playing that Lallana role.
Yes.
Where they play in this
a number 6. He's a perfect number 6.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the things that Winks can definitely play, but this limits creativity. I think this is the problem with Spurs midfield right now. They've got a lot of guys, but a lot of these guys are all playing one position offensively. None of them actually play this position, other than this guy. Højbjerg plays it, but the others don't. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play. Maybe they go 4-3-3. Maybe that's what they'll do. They'll put this can also be an inverted 4-3-3, right? Or a diamond.
Yeah, say. I think it's a diamond 4-3-3 will be a pretty good one.
Yeah, it could be any of those things. Like the idea though is that I think rotation-wise it's going to come from here. I think Winks will be rotated with some players.
Okay, before Højbjerg, Winks has been playing in a position with Musa Sissoko. Week in, week out. So maybe he's going to interplay with Musa Sissoko. Rotation and all that.
Yeah. It could be. He could be rotating with Sissoko. Yeah. He could be rotating with
Lo Celso.
Although I think Lo Celso will rotate here. These two positions are Lo Celso's preferred positions. And we know Lucas Moura likes to play here. So basically, it will be more of an interesting outlook as to which area exactly.
Let's not forget about Ndombele as well.
And Ndombele, yeah.
If Mourinho decides to make him change his style.
My idea is that if Ndombele is playing, what they might want to do is they might want to move, let's say, Ali to the back and move Ndombele up here, or
interplay from them,
yeah, or go straight up and go 1-4-1-4, and that's how you play 4 guys all the way here. You have Son and Bergwijn cutting in the middle with Ali and Ndombele lurking around the box, and then you've got a Harry Kane who's either going to be in the box or drop down so that Son can cut in or Bergwijn can cut in, and they can form that sort of like pseudo triangle with Winks with Ndombele, Ali, and another. So in terms of that, that's one issue they've got. Now, my other issue that we have is we haven't talked about this. Is Kane. Kane went down for a lot of last season, and when he wasn't there, there was pretty much a lack of ideas on Spurs' part.
Yeah, Son stepped up a lot from when Kane was gone.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Lucas Moura came in for the white man position.
But they struggled in games even with that.
Yeah, they struggled a lot. Kane, yeah.
It showed they couldn't keep the ball as efficiently as they wanted to. So my question is there enough cover for this guy?
As is a guy like Kane right now, as a center guy, currently have to say no. But in terms of backup, Son can, as an emergency striker, he can come up, step up.
So one of the things,
but not week in, week out.
One of the things about the Ipswich game, right, was that I saw that Son was a guy who was more involved with the offense and centrally. He was very active, very good, cut into deep positions, really helped the team out, I thought. And what was interesting to me was that Son is this guy now, and he's amazing right now. Like, freaking hell, he looks like one of the best players in the world right now. We're talking about an Asian guy here. I think very rarely do you see an Asian player be the best player in the world like this.
Champions League quality.
We're actually, one of the things we're going to do in the future is talk about a versus series, and we're going to be an interesting matchup with Son, but we'll talk about that later. He's pretty much a Champions League level striker right now.
Yeah.
I don't see where he can do much wrong.
He can fit in a lot of top teams in the Champions League, if you ask me.
I do think so, yeah. I'm just wondering when the next call up for him is going to be.
He can dribble, he can pass. He's very fast as well.
Exactly.
He has ball control. He's going to be a very huge addict to any team right now in Europe.
So we got Son, who's a potential replacement for Kane in terms of rotation wise. But he's a starter anyway. So who's gonna be the guy that you think is gonna benefit?
With what they have right now. If you ask me, currently right now, has to be Bergwijn, because he can play in the central as well. He played in the Ajax. He can play in the attacking midfield, not that much, but he can. But as a striker, I think he can. We haven't seen him a lot play in the central position, but in Ajax he did a lot. He drops deep as well. He played
in more of a central position in his debut.
Yeah.
And I think I saw a lot of good things from Bergwijn. I think
he drops deep, even from a central role.
But that's the thing. I don't think he benefits from dropping deep too much. I honestly think what he should be doing is he should be a more offensive power for this team and push through the middle. I think it was the Manchester United game when Bergwijn made a run right through and cut into the United defense. And of course, at the end, it was De Gea's fault because that's what happened.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I thought that the fact that Bergwijn was in these positions and he created space for himself based just on his physical ability and running with the ball at his feet and making his way there, right? I thought that was good to create a situation for Spurs. And after that, it's just whether you can execute, and luck was on their side. But I think Bergwijn has shown actually he can score. He can be that presence in the box.
And he's young as well.
So there's a lot of potential there.
Strong as well.
Yeah, and we all know that Mourinho has a very good acumen when it comes to dealing with Dutch players. Yeah, Dutch players.
A player that plays in the Dutch league like Arjen Robben.
Yeah, he had successes with those kind of guys.
Yeah.
And so basically the big issue, the next issue for me with Spurs is that right now, defensively, we haven't talked much about Spurs defensively. I think one of the big things is they lost Jan Vertonghen.
Yeah, they just lost him.
And Vertonghen used to play here with Alderweireld. And this used to be a really good defense, actually, like a few seasons ago.
For a few seasons, they were really consistent.
Exactly. And
even in the World Cup.
Even in the World Cup,
they did a very good.
So now the Belgian duo has been split up. It's Davison Sanchez's show with Alderweireld, who is still there.
Alderweireld is old, around 31, 32.
So,
He is aging.
so who do you think is gonna be able to cover him?
Well, currently they have a young lad, American guy called Cameron Carter-Vickers. He has not really played that much in the top flight, but he played a lot in his loan spells in the lower leagues. He's still very young, so he's not going to be a regular starter as of yet. But I think they're going to pigeon him in as a rotation maybe, because Alderweireld probably has a lot, 2 years left, but he still can play 2 years, so he can probably play as a rotation with Cameron Carter-Vickers, if you ask me.
I think recently they loaned out a guy called Aoyama.
Yes, and also
Aoyama from this team.
Okay.
And it's interesting you brought up Cameron Carter-Vickers, because Cameron Carter-Vickers is a guy who I once thought would develop into the guy that can start, but there's no guarantee he's going to even stay.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's a shout out.
Yeah, but it's a valid shout out. Does Mourinho give the chance to Vickers, or does he give the chance to a guy like Foyth to come into this defensive role and rotate with these guys, and then play guys like
Foyth does have played a lot of games in centre back, by the way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I do think that Foyth can come here, and there's another guy that we didn't talk about, and his name is Tanganga.
oh yes.
And Tanganga, we didn't talk a lot about Tanganga because I don't know what's gonna happen with him. He played a few games. I thought he played okay, and they tried to play a back three with him at one point. Didn't work. It was not a good idea. But he's still a good player.
Still a good player. Still for a rotation, maybe he's pretty good. There's also another guy that had a resurgence as a centre back. Originally, he was from the midfield, which is Eric Dyer.
Eric Dyer, right?
Yeah, Eric Dyer.
I think it's no secret that Mourinho really likes Eric Dyer.
Yeah.
But I don't know how he's gonna fit with this team.
I mean, as a emergency centre back, I think he can. He just got called up in the Nations League for England as a defender, not as a midfielder.
Right.
So he still has a few years left there.
I have to question though if he's the right guy for a two-man defense.
I mean, for a rotation, I think.
If you're looking at a three-man defense, I can see them playing Dyer in this situation, and have him just play in this hole while you put Ali and Ndombele up here, or Ali and Højbjerg maybe, or Ali and Winks or whatever. Then you've got Dyer, Sanchez, Alderweireld. Then you've got a great three-man team. If you're gonna play a two-man thing, they've actually struggled with Dyer on the pitch. We've got Foyth coming in here as well. I don't know if Foyth is the finished article yet. I'm not sure. I think he's a good player. What I saw of him with this team and how Mourinho likes to play is he likes his centre backs experienced and loud. He's always liked loud centre backs and characteristic centre backs.
Dyer is a pretty loud guy, and yeah.
I think part of the reason why he struggled at United towards the end there because he didn't have real character centre backs.
Yeah, hungry guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just wondering if Dyer is that guy who he wants. I think he wants Dyer to be that guy because Dyer has shown traits of being that guy.
Yes.
But the question is, does it benefit the team? And is Dyer more better at 3, in a 2? How's that going to work? I do think that in a 2, Sanchez and Alderweireld the best pairing they can come up with. If it's a 3, then it's Dyer.
Yes, as of now.
Yeah, basically. They also sold Kyle Walker-Peters, but that's an unfortunate thing. I think they couldn't guarantee Kyle Walker-Peters. And
he wants to be playing games right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Foyth gonna keep him on the game with Aurier as well.
And Tanganga, Aurier, what they're gonna do with Aurier, I don't know. But Aurier is the guy who is pretty much the joker of this. I mean, when I say joker, I don't mean like he's a joke. I just mean that Aurier is that guy that we don't know what to expect from him. Basically, he's the guy that can give you goals, or he can literally let the other team score. So I think let's talk about solutions for this team. And one of the solutions that I think that we should look at for this team is let's talk about what do you think they can do to be a better team next season.
Well, first thing they have to look at the options in the transfer market. So I think they need another striker to cover for Harry Kane, maybe even to cover with the other two wingers, which I think right now, honestly, with Bournemouth relegated, right, I think Callum Wilson is a very good shout out. They're linked to him as well.
Callum Wilson is an extremely interesting and efficient
Yes.
kind of signing. Very, very
Premier League,
Mourinho-like.
yeah. But a Premier League player as well.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is. And as a
And-
backup striker to Harry Kane, that's a pretty good idea.
And from Bournemouth just got relegated, so it's gonna be a very good economical thing.
Although the market for strikers is always in this kind of striker, which is this price range, there's going to be a lot of competitors. But if it's Tottenham, they should be the ones that are standing out of the competitors.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe that works in their favor. I think Callum Wilson's a good shout. I do
Yeah.
think so. I do think a guy that they should be looking at is also from Bournemouth, Josh King. I think
Joshua King, okay.
Joshua King's that kind of guy. He fits that mold. He very much plays in a stylistic way, the same way that Berbatov plays, the same way that a lot of the touch kind of strikers want to play.
Touch fast and a typical forward.
Typical forward,
Typical
physical.
forward, yeah.
So I think he's a good shout as well, and I think so, but less likely maybe due to injury history, So what other solution do you think they should do?
Maybe as a long-term thing for Alderweireld, I think it's gonna be Ben White as a central striker, defender.
Ben White.
Yeah, Ben White. He's a next potential thing in England. So I think he's a very good shout out. He's gonna be cheap.
So Ben White wouldn't be cheap; he'd be expensive. They're pretty much like holding their ground right now. So I think Brighton will sell him for very expensive. The only issue I have with Ben White being a solution for this defense is that Mourinho, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I've seen a lot of Mourinho's teams, and he doesn't like his centre backs running with the ball up front. He likes them to pass it to the guy here who is going to distribute the ball up front. That's always been a Mourinho thing. I'm just thinking that, but then maybe Mourinho's adapted.
Mourinho might be adapting. Yeah.
Maybe I mean possible.
With
I
what he
think Ben
can
White's
right
a good
now,
shout.
yeah.
He's a really efficient keeper. Marcelo Bielsa thinks he's the shit apparently. So
Yeah.
maybe Ben White's the guy. I do think that with this kind of team, I look at the team, and I think centre back. I do want to say. I do want to say that centre back is a pretty complicated position for this team, because what is the parameters of being a centre back? You need a high character guy, right? And so I think someone who can fit into this kind of defense would be your would be someone with a high character attitude and someone who has a leadership ability. Not to say that Alderweireld doesn't have this. I think Alderweireld does. I think he's a solid player, but maybe they need someone a bit more dynamic in there, who can give them more things. Vertonghen definitely was the kind of guy who can offensively contribute. So I think that's interesting. Ben White's a good shout, but I do also think maybe another guy they can look at is a guy like, for example, Hoyt from Southampton. He's the centre back in Southampton.
Okay, that's a very good
or
shout out.
Roden from Swansea. He's a young centre back. He's up and coming. A lot of
Very sought after, yeah. Roden?
very very sought after. If you've seen a lot of Tifo football, you'll know everything about Roden. Another guy who I think could be a good shout for this team would be somebody like and this is a stretch here, by the way, but I'm just saying someone like Soyuncu maybe could benefit a team like this. If you have an Alderweireld and a Soyuncu pairing,
I think that's gonna be a top 4 contender.
that would be crazy. Yeah, he's a really good defender. So Kabak is another guy who's from Schalke.
Oh,
Liverpool's been linked with him.
he's linked with
So
Liverpool.
if that's depending on how Mourinho is like totally inclined. But if we're staying with how things are, I think these two are a good pairing. I think they need another season to get familiarized with each other. I think that Højbjerg needs to shield these guys as much as possible, and just do the dirty work around the midfield.
Okay, another one I have to say, not just for the centre backs. I think right back with Foyth is not really a
Right back.
well, yeah, not really a right back. I mean, like he doesn't really go forward in the wings, support the forwards.
Again, not a staple necessity of a
Not a
Mourinho
necessity,
offense,
yeah, but still.
but it's good that they have these things.
Yes.
Obviously, I don't know. I think Foyt is fine. I think Foyt is good if, let's say, someone like Sessegnon joins the offense, and Bergwijn can cover a bit of the midfield. They've got wings as well. What Foyt can do is shift across to be with that Sanchez and Alderweireld three-man defense, and that's where he's most suitable. He will be really good in the three-man defense. That's the only reason I put him there. Otherwise, it's Sir Doria, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
So the other thing is that they got the stadium now, the new stadium. They're probably going to be paying that off. They've got the thing. They're not in the Champions League next season. I think one of the solutions that Mourinho needs to look at long term is how to make this work.
Ali and Kane. They worked before, but they just have to revitalize it.
I do think that he needs to utilize this. I do think he needs to make Ali understand that he's the linchpin of this. If he works out, we know Son's gonna score. Son's fantastic. Either way, he's gonna be fine. Bergwijn's a great young player. If they're not Bergwijn, they got Lo Celso. What do they do with Lo Celso? Do they put him here? They can put him here. You know, there's so many things they can do. But it will only work if Ali defines what he's gonna do. Will he play deeper? Is he gonna play more forward? He should play more forward, in my opinion. This is the best position for Ali. And once they make this linchpin work, this entire team ticks, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubts. That's a very good one.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
I also, by the way, before we did all this, there was a report that Luis Suarez is being linked to Tottenham. So if they get Luis Suarez, which I don't think they will, but if they do, we're screwed a lot, basically.
If they do, that's going to answer a lot of questions there.
How much do you think Daniel Levy is going to play a role in this team being better? Do you think he's a hindrance, or do you think that he's going to help Mourinho?
With a new stadium, I think minimum help for Mourinho. He's going to have to
come up with something.
Yeah, come up with something. Maybe Daniel Sturridge, I don't know, man. He's going to be free. Daniel Sturridge.
They've got some sales to make. They've got some tactical abilities, things to do. I think 4-2-3-1 is a big thing. Mourinho's going to need to show that he can do stuff. So I can't wait to see all that. So yeah, that was our team dissection. It was definitely an in-depth look into Tottenham Hotspur as a team. How they're going to set up. I think they've also, I didn't mention this, but they've got some good young players. Troy Parrott, Bowden, Jack Clark. All these guys are really good players, and I think they might feature at some point. But given Mourinho's propensity when it comes to playing young guys, maybe not, huh? Although he did introduce Rashford into United, so you never know. So that's about it from the team dissection point. Tottenham next season is going to be an important season, so hang in there. Okay. Great. All right, that's it, guys. Oh man, I'm tired. Oh shit, it's 12:13 now. Are you fucking kidding me?